Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy, Nana Kasha, and here we have the beautiful Zoe. Hi, Zoe.
Oh, hi, Nan. It's so lovely to be here.
Thank you so much. So, you may remember Zoe from before. The most recent was the Priestess Path and the Return of the Priestess Summit that we did a few months ago. So, what I love about Zoe, and we're going to just dive in and start having a conversation, is your authenticity, your commitment to your own personal path. That you're on this path, having your own evolution, and then that is integrating with how you work with people and what you talk about, and the work that you do, and what you're sharing in the world. And that to me is the most authentic way, right, to do this, is to be in the work ourselves. So we are coming to the end of the snake year, and we were talking about how we're coming back. You have some anniversaries. The holidays usually brings things up for people. We have the solstice, then we have the New Year's, and then we have the Chinese New Year. So we're in this kind of prolonged portal of transitioning into the fire horse, and looking at finding our place and finding roots. And I love what you were saying is about rebooting, for your own reasons, but I think we're all doing that, finding new ground to root into. So we're going to talk about that and anything else that's coming up right now for the sacred feminine. And first, I want to quickly share so you can see where to find Zoe, and it should be below. Hello, thank you. It should be below in the link, and also if you come and subscribe to nanakasha.com, of course, we will be sending out the replay, and you can easily find Zoe from there. So this is her website. So just take a note of that. And she's a speaker, writer, spiritual mentor, and dedicated to being a catalyst to connecting others to their highest potential and wisdom within. So if you've had the pleasure of connecting with Zoe in the conferences or online through a lot of online platforms, make sure you take a look at where she's speaking, because it's worthwhile to see what she's sharing for free, to get a taste of that, to see if this is your community, because I think it probably is. So let's take a quick peek before we dive in today. We have a little more here. Oh, good. I thought that was all. So, multidimensional seer meditation guide, podcast speaker, and supporting conscious beings and leaders around the world through deep transformation. Perfect for right now. Helping to reconnect with their truth and embody high frequencies in everyday life. So, this is true. This is what I love about talking with you, is you're so willing to share and be vulnerable about your path, which to me is how we support each other, is we're all walking the path. We are one on another level. So because your path hasn't been easy, and it's been a journey of surrender and trust and remembering who you truly are, and that's what everybody is doing. So it's wonderful when we get to talk to someone, like you, who can share authentically from inside of the challenge, right? Because like you said, they all became initiations, and they all guide you. They create teachings and transmissions that you get to share with everybody through your courses and your activations. And this is true for all of us, whether you teach or not. Everything you're experiencing is a part of the process of going up the spiral, right? So at the heart of Zoe's work is a simple intention to help you live, lead, and create from your highest frequency, yay, with clarity, confidence, and grace. I love this. I want to talk about grace. So I want to remind you guys to come on over, get one of the last few seats with our incredible Mayan retreat. We're going to have Maria here with new equipment, and we're going to be studying torsion fields and comparing the pyramids to things on Mars, and it's going to be amazing. And we're also going to have our sacred Mayan elder. So we'll be blending the sacred and the vibrational wisdom and the earth energies, and we're going to be experiencing this solar event. So we have some beautiful things in the shop for you to check out, and make sure that you get in on the live oracle workshop, which is right near New Year's, but this one I want to make sure everybody gets onto the live solstice Maya fire ceremony. If I get a few more people, we will be able to bring my friends over to do a big full ceremony for us, a Mayan and Aztec ceremony. So in the meantime, we have some beautiful things lined up, and you can find us at shop.nanakasha.com. Okay, so Miss Zoe, let's talk about the December energies in the sense of both for you and for a lot of people. There's a lot of anniversaries this time of year that are either joyful or difficult. And then we are going into, well, we're very close now to the solstice, right? We're going into the solstice, which is, we keep going deeper, right? Right now, we're going deeper into our shadow world. We're going deeper and deeper until the solstice. And I love that the new moon is the day before the solstice. So it's like we go into the darkest night and then come out the other side. So share some of the things that have been coming forward for you and where this is taking you in your own personal journey and with your students.
Thank you. So it can be a tough time of year for many, and for a number of reasons. This is typically a time of year when people have passed or they are going to pass, especially the older generation. There can be a mind loop of time running out, coming to the end of the year, matched with expectations. There can be a collective intensity as people scramble to finish things up for the year, because there's this kind of interesting theme that time has run out. And it also can bring a lot up in terms of a personal journey of where someone thought that they would have been by now based on their expectations at the beginning of a calendar year. And so my invitation to myself and to everyone is, what if this gets to be the best month of the year ever? What if this gets to be the best month of the decade? And to start going into some of those fear-based stories, the emotions, the grief, and to rewire it and rewrite it from a place of heart connection, heart coherence, grounding, nourishment, nurturing, and to go through the thought processes one by one and really look at it from an articulated perspective of a zoomed out version of self, which is the observer, and ask, is this true? Now, we cannot bypass the emotions of the human experience. I mean, my personal journey, having lost my mum a year ago, and that's coming up to her first date of when she passed, has been an interesting journey, but it's also one of great joy as well, of oh, this gets to be a time of year where I get to celebrate this person that gave birth to me. This gets to be a time of year where I'm consciously choosing to actually slow down and to create the space. And there are many opportunities throughout the year and time and life to have a new year, a new start, a fresh perspective. And so this sense of, we're in December and it's, you know, and it's fast and it's running out. It's not the only time that we get to reset. And so actually December gets to be a month of really taking stuff off of the calendar, not piling things on just because there's this expectation of January is coming. Leave some things for January, leave some things for February, leave some things for March, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things we're becoming aware of, is that we've been raised in a culture and a history of make it happen, you know, that very masculine forward, you know, make a plan, follow the plan, you know, this should be done by that time. I want this by this time. And the universe and the natural cycles work very differently, not necessarily longer. In fact, most of the time could be instant or much quicker. if we weren't in the way thinking so much, right? Or trying or doing this. Like, why hasn't this happened? Oh my, like you said, like entering this time of year, it's the threshold in many ways. I mean, I don't really 1st of January type of thing. It's, it's a made up calendar date to me. So it's in my psyche, with our culture.
Mhm.
But to me, the solstice and then the Chinese New Year that kind of give it parentheses are the real portal of the new year. But if things are unfolding like a fern, you know how it unfolds in that spiral, are you going to sit there and say, you have to be done by the end of the year? Yeah. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
particularly the solstice. For me, I mean, I've always been more connected to the pagan dates, being from England, living in Somerset, growing up around Glastonbury. I've always been more connected to the pagan celebrations than the Christian celebrations. And for me, this year, solstice feels really important as we're wrapping up 2025. I'm not really too sure yet why. I can tell you after the solstice.
Exactly.
But I, for one, on a personal level, have been guided to go back to the UK and be on the land in Glastonbury for solstice. And generally, when I'm guided to certain portal points, there's always a huge up leveling that
Yeah.
happens. And I don't know what it is until I get there, but with zero
Exactly.
expectations. But, for me, it's an invitation to celebrate the shadow, celebrate the darkness, celebrate the slowing down, celebrate the parts of self that might not have been operating in the true heart coherence this year and before that, celebrating the parts of self where maybe there's been too much looping negative mind patterns, celebrating the parts of self that perhaps didn't have all of the energy that it expected it to, right? And we have been in such a huge collective shift since 2019 2020,
Yeah.
and particularly with COVID, I saw this huge severing and separation of consciousness happening, and people are still catching up from that. I don't think that we as a globe have truly healed from that. We're still in the aftermath and the debris. And something that's coming through that spirit is wanting to share is paying particular attention to the physical body as well. There has never been a better time than to really cleanse out the physical vessel. And I'm talking about heavy metal detox, parasite cleansing, opening up the drainage pathways, taking excellent care of the skin of the one of the biggest organs on the body scrubs, Epsom salt baths. All of this helps to clear the density out from the physical vessel to make that reconnection to the divine within us. So that's an important piece that's coming in as well. And this can be a particular time of year where the distractions are on eating more sugar than normal. If you drink alcohol, drinking more alcohol than you would normally, eating more food than you would normally. And so it's like the invitation is like, how can you still enjoy those festive experiences, but still honoring the sacred vessel, still honoring the physical part of you that also is moving through its ascension process?
Yeah, to me, it's I used to do all that, and it's of course fun and fine. It's just like for me, I see the solstice and this month, it's my birthday month, so there's always like more energy around that, and there's a whole like I'm in my own portal type of thing, and like there's just a whole lot going on. And now I see it more like a shamanic experience, so I've actually started going into my shamanic diet, about 2 weeks ago, where I don't eat after 4 p.m. And I already eat really pure and everything, but I cut way back and have that like more yoga feeling, like where, you could just sit like and be in it. So there's a lot of different ways. I mean, I would invite people, like you said, to think of this in a new way. And even if it's like every other day, I'm going to be eating something like this or that. But energetically, don't forget, right, to cleanse too.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
sometimes too many things to do and maybe don't do them all.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's such a huge emphasis on stuffing your face in
Yeah.
December. I'm just gonna say it like that. There's no pretty way of saying it, but
Yeah.
there is such a focus of overindulgence, whether it's through food or Netflix or
Yeah.
parties or this or that or shopping or overspending money. And I'm not saying that these are bad things, but just being super mindful, like, is this serving my long-term potential? Is this serving my purpose? How can I find, respite in the intensities of December? And this time of year in particular, moving up to solstice, it's such a beautiful gateway
Yeah.
to shed and surrender so much. But when the ego is focused on the exact opposite of that, which is part of that matrix programming, which is Christmas, which is
Exactly.
parties, which is this, it's like you become in this kind of conflicted duality with self, because there's the part of the soul self, the heart connected self, wants to have this pilgrimage back to source. It wants to have this cleansing, this purification, this slowing down, this nourishment, this nurturing, this self-love, this going into some of those patterns and that shadow. And then there's the ego self that's like, you deserve to rest. You've had a hard year. Let's go do all these things. And so there's this conflicting battle between the two. And so the invitation is, if you can fill up your cup with all of the Christmas festivities, let's say, make sure that you're balancing and nourishing the cup of your soul, so that when you get to January, you're not kind of walking around feeling a bit like a Teletubby or a Michelin man. And so just finding the balance, finding the equilibrium with that. And so that's something that I know many people struggle with this time of year, because they want to have this deep soul connection to their purpose, to their path. They want to have, a deeper connection with their spirit team, with their angels, with their guides. And yet there is so much bombardment of distraction that's specifically designed to pull us out of cohesion and alignment. And so the invitation is, tap into that world, because there is nothing wrong with joyful experiences. If you want to go party, go party. If you want to go and eat some mince pies and have a big dinner, go do those things. But also remember that nourishment to the soul, and find the balance with that as well.
Yeah, it's perfect too, because you think about how we also get swept away with the idea that we have to be on everyone else's schedule. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all these people invited me to a holiday party, I have to go to them. No, you don't.
Yeah.
It's okay. And I like what you're saying, because if you actually looked at the month and said, okay, well, I have these 3 parties for sure I'm going to, that's my family, whatever, whatever. And then where are the same things, scheduling a date with yourself? A date with
Mm-hmm.
silence, a date in nature. I used to like to go, I called it, I'd go on a date with my higher self, and we'd just go out the
Mm.
door, and I'd say, where do we go? And it'd be, turn left. Okay, what do we do here? Turn right. Oh my gosh. I mean, the most magical stuff happens, but it's not something you can do when you're with someone else, because you're thinking about them and their energies are interrupting you. So, yeah, there is a lot of nourishment. Well, go in and see if there's other energies around the solstice, because I have the same feeling you do. I mean, I always love the solstices and the equinoxes. I'm just a little witch. So, but it's been that way a long time. But they are so profound. This one feels very different. I agree. And then when I started looking, like, before COVID, I was doing retreats here in the Maya land, and some of my friends are Aztec and Mayan, and they do ceremonies for us with drumming and all kinds of beautiful things. And then COVID happened, and I was like, okay, well, let's see if we can start doing them online. So we every so often we would do one, we would live stream it, do our best to live stream it, and we haven't done that in a while. And I thought there's something about this solstice, like I can do all kinds of other things, but it needs to be a fire ceremony that's live, you know, with this happening and the new moon being the day before. So um, tune in and give us some energy and interesting energies about the potential and the preparation and any other aspect of that.
Hmm. So I would say the preparation is to set some time aside on the solstice day, and you can light a candle if you want to, grab your journal and pen, and create a cozy environment, whether this is indoors or outdoors. I mean, I would definitely recommend to go and walk the land wherever you are on solstice, and create some space where you sit in silence and just focus on your breath and be there in silence for longer than 20 minutes. Because there's something that happens after the 20-minute mark where the ego has kind of exhausted all of its thoughts, and even the ego gets bored of thinking because it's thought too much. It's like suddenly, oh wow, like this person can hear all of my thoughts. I don't really have anything else to think about. And so there'll still be thoughts kind of in the background, but they won't be as loud as that first 20-minute period. And keep connecting to your breath and keep connecting to your heart. And what you will find after that 20-minute mark, 30-minute mark, you will start to feel the energy. You will start to feel, I always like to explain it like a column of light. So it'll either come down through your crown, or it will come through your heart, or it will come up through the soles of your feet. But you will feel that connection to the solstice energies. And there may be some patterns that maybe come up, some old thought cycles, some looping experiences. There may be a journey that you get taken on. And so just be open without trying to direct it by doing something guided, or just allow what wants to come through for you. And I'm actually leading a live solstice class. I think it's 11 a.m. Pacific, and taking people through this exact process. I mean, we'll be together for an hour and a half, but the first part of it is we will be sat there in silence to empty out. But definitely walk on the land. And thank you. What else is coming through as well is giving an offering to the land, thanking the land, the sun, the moon, the seas, the oceans, the light, the dark, for the blessings of this physical reality that we're in, this physical hologram as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, and I like that offering to the land, I like sacred traditions and practices, because they bring you so present into the moment and aware of how everything is alive, really alive.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do think is really powerful about this time of year, and you were talking about how, the social scene is popping, buy this event, that event, all this stuff. I live in a little fishing village in Mexico, so I don't see anybody. I don't do anything. It's not something I have to deal with. But I had kids, have been there, did all that, and but the idea, the path that's coming up through us is deeper. This is a time of the year where the days are still getting shorter. We're going deeper into Shibalba, into the underworld, all the way up until that very moment of the solstice, which is the moment that, we start going back and growing again. And when you're too busy with the big, everything happening, you are really missing that opportunity to be in those shadow worlds of yourself, to rediscover yourself down in there, to free yourself, to release yourself, to reclaim, to seed, all the beautiful energies that are possible. So it's very opposite, really, other than having like ceremonies of light, like
Mm-hmm.
with candles and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk to you about grace. So there in your bio it said something about grace, and this is such an interesting conversation to me right now. So I'm really curious what you think, how you are perceiving it, how it's shifting, for you, because what I see is that karma is what we've been taught, and we're trapped in the mental idea of karma because we agreed to it. And now it's no different than any other illusion that we're living out here. Is if we all agree, oh yeah, we have karma, that's why we just keep repeating these patterns, and we have debts and everything that comes along with karma, which is being in a box, being shackled, having debt, having a duty, not being able to get out, just the entire aspect of that. And this year, my spirit guides have been making me go very, very, very deep to, into my mission to strip away any deeper judgments and things. And so, if you can shift karma, if everything is the same thing, it's two sides. So lack and abundance are the same thing, and like a thermometer, you could be completely in lack, or you could be overflowing and exploding in abundance, maybe not a great way or whatever, right? Or anywhere in between. The same thing is true of karma and grace. And so what they've been asking me is to say, start to deny karma the same way you go, oh, I don't want to have that fear anymore. I don't want to believe that thing about myself anymore. I'm going to choose a different thought. I'm going to replace it. I'm going to rewire that, right? And rewiring literally into like a different timeline, like here's the two. And what is grace? Because to me, grace was just this sort of Christian word, and I didn't really know what it meant. And then in different ways it would come, and then ease and grace, okay, whatever. And actually my name means graceful one or something. So that's been a really interesting path this year, is understanding what is grace. And what I understand so far is it means that something happens for the highest good of everyone, and you just release, when you're on the path of grace, you're embodying. So tell us, because you said here that your heart of your work is to help people live, lead, and create from their highest frequency with clarity, confidence, and grace.
Mm-hmm. So when I first had my awakening, I started learning about karma, and the belief system at the time was you have free will before you come into this incarnation. You pick your family, you pick your life lessons based on what you didn't learn in the previous lives. And when you become conscious to that, you can live a more dharmic life, a more graceful life, because you are doing things, I guess, correctly. You're not creating karma, you're creating dharma, right? And that, karma has been taught in many ancient cultures and religions. And then somewhere along the way, I got to a point where I was like, well, hang on a minute. If we have free will and we become conscious of our present moment, and this is a hologram, so this is a hologram based on our observations of what we've been taught to be true about reality, then surely there's something that didn't quite add up. And then I started going down the rabbit hole a bit deeper and was like learning about trapped souls, that we're in this incarnation loop for energy harvesting. And then I was like, got into the rabbit hole even deeper. And that opened up a whole rabbit hole within a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole. And then I got out of all of the rabbit holes and I was like, what do I feel to be true within my conscious awareness? I was like, well, if anything that bad happens to me or around me in my incarnation, and the story is that it's because I must have been bad in a past life, then that is the reality that I am creating based on that set of beliefs. I was like, but what if you could clear that? What if you could break free of that and not have that as the story anymore? And surely if you are consciously awake of your divinity, that your soul lives on beyond your current incarnation, then surely you don't have to keep coming back in this incarnation. So it's a very interesting debate, because there's this one camp over here that are very still firmly fixed in this belief system that you die, you meet your team, you pick your new lessons, and you come back again. And then there's another team over here that are sharing that this is part of the simulation of the matrix, and actually it's about breaking out of that. And so it was finding this kind of truth in this illusion, that what is the truth and what isn't the truth, and what is the beliefs, and are the beliefs creating even those truths, and what if none of that is true, but what if all of it is true because I'm giving awareness to it, and that's the belief. So personally, I've had this with clients over the years where they've come to me and they've said, oh, I must have been bad in the past life because this bad thing is happening to me. And I was like, well, that's the easy way out, right? Is to be annoyed with the version of you from 20 lifetimes ago. Now, do our past lives have an effect on our current incarnation? Absolutely. Do we have an ability to wipe those contracts and live from a soul present moment of potential and creating our future based on the level of consciousness we can hold in this moment? Absolutely. Is it a lot of work? Absolutely. But do we have the potential of it? Absolutely. So to me, grace is living in the undeniable moment of now and living through heart coherence, living through the truth of now, that now is all there is. And yes, there may be patterning, ancestral wounds, mother wound, father wound, the epigenetics, etc., that have all subconsciously and subliminally played in to our experience of now. But we get to wipe, squash, flatten that, dissolve, and void across all realities, all timelines, all dimensions, with the level of consciousness that we can hold now. And that's the grace piece, is the trusting that we have that divine capacity as creators through our consciousness. So that to me is grace.
Yeah, and that's just beautifully put. That was a perfect description of the idea that we create our reality, and we have to keep looking deeper into that idea, not from hoping it's true, but from it literally being true, and then watching your words and all the rest of it, and coherent thoughts and feelings. Like I said that 50 times, why didn't it happen? Because inside you're thinking it'll never happen, right? Like all the coherence aspect of it. But the idea of coming into creating your reality by looking again through the looking glass, again through the illusion, again through the mirror. The teaching I like the best is the obsidian mirror with the Maya. They say there isn't, you live on a planet of mirrors. There's nowhere you can look that's not a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a smoking mirror. So if you know obsidian, it's black and it's volcanic glass. You could see the sun through it, but you can see. And so it's possibly, it's there, like the universe is there to say, what do you want? Okay, here. If you're thinking nothing works out, you get that. If you think this work, and then this is showing you, it's like a guidance system. Here you are, here you are, here you are, here you are, but giving our power away to that. And having now this idea of looking deeper, looking at another aspect of that. What is another way people can see through that illusion or open themselves up to a new idea of who they are?
Well, I would say it's first being really, really self-aware and brutally honest with what your belief systems are. What are the stories that you are governing your reality by? And that is the challenging piece, because you have a spiritual awakening, and you have multiple awakenings within an awakening. Like when I first started, I mean, I had an awakening when I was younger. I had an awakening when I was around 16. And then I had a reawakening when I was around 27, 28. And at the time, there was so much illusion and distortion of a spiritual awakening online. And there was so much channeled information that was literally saying that if you aren't ascended to a certain frequency by a certain date, you are going to live in this dystopian reality, and everyone around you is going to burn up in flames. And And then there's people saying, well, you know, you got to get to a certain frequency because you've got to be able to ascend up to the spaceships. And, you know, I kind of bought into some of this stuff. And, but it in the back of my mind, it's like, I mean, I know this is all pretty crazy anyway, and I'm having very, very physical experiences where I was like, my third eye was opening. There was like purples and blues kind of shooting out from my third eye, like I was seeing in a physical mirror. I'm like, am I going insane? Do I need to put myself into a mental hospital? And you know, and I was kind of reading all this scripture online, and I just took a step back. I thought, hold on a second, like everyone's talking about love, but yeah, everyone is willing to let
Fear.
everyone go because in the name of love and ascension. I was like, that's not my story. And it's like I shifted out of that version of reality and I stopped seeing all of this propaganda
Yeah.
that you were gonna like be down in the trenches for the rest of your life with the humans if you weren't ascended enough. And all of these like interesting characters online that they're not in my reality anymore. And then I started learning about quantum physics and the multiverse and parallel universes. I was like, ah, okay, this makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the facts is that the universe is set up to give us whatever we want. So if you are talking like those people, you know, and that's who you're around, that's going to be your reality. And that's your choice, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just disconnect like you did, and then you don't really attract them or come across them because it isn't part of your focus. And this is an incredible power that we have. You know, you said that the karma, I must have been, oh, the whole idea of being bad in another life. You know, to me, when you look at all of the Christian idea of you being a sinner and women being the original sin of badness, and then you know any other tradition, and then this idea, you know, that you have this burden of, you know, that you came here to carry because you were bad and you just know from the beginning you were bad, so you know, and then maybe you'll get free, maybe you won't. And like you, I said I would really like to invite people to look at what you're giving your power to, what you're deciding is true for you. And you know, it's true, if you walk off of a building right now you'll die, so don't do that. However, you know, push the boundaries on the other stuff that you're giving your power to, because literally, I mean, as simple as something as way, way long time ago, I became friends with a lady who was speaking on stages, and I was starting to speak on stages, and it was starting to come that that they wanted you to pay to speak on their stage, and that was like a new thing, and so I was like, and I got to know this lady, and I said something to her like, "How are you getting on all these stages? How much is it costing you?" She goes, "Well, it's not costing me anything." I ask, I get on stages all the time and I don't pay. And all I knew was right in that moment, I didn't feel mad about her. I just went, oh, okay, that's a reality I want. And I downloaded that, and that became my conversation inside.
Love that.
Right? Like,
Hmm.
and it took about 6 months before I started to see that, you know,
Yeah.
that idea to choose. So, what are we doing now? We're bringing up all this old past illusion and conditioning that we're at our core no good, because if we're no good at our core, you know, according to all these things, or we're stuck on this wheel, then we
Hmm.
can't get free and we can't be gods, we can't be, you know, what we
Yeah.
were designed to be.
Well, and that's the thing is the ego must be willing to let go of the belief system that that is part of reality in order to transmute and transform into a different version of reality. And I really love going into the Akashic records and blowing up all the contracts, like blowing up all the books.
Yeah.
And then there's this belief, and I've read this online, and people have this story that, oh, well, you're not doing you know, you're not doing your work. You're not doing your deep shadow work when you're just bypassing. I'm like, can we hear ourselves in the absurdity of judgment? And
Yeah, exactly.
we are divine creators. We are still having our lessons and our growth and our wisdom journeys just by being in these bodies. I mean, this physical reality is kindergarten. It's one of the hardest planets that we've ever incarnated into.
Yes.
And let us rewire and recircuit and reprogram from a space of the heart and grace, and not from this sense of we've got to be sludging up the hill, bringing all of our past life baggage. And it also flips the opposite way as well. There's many people that really hold on to, oh, I was a priestess in the past life, or I was the king of Thor, or I was a so and so, and now I'm going to have that name in this current incarnation. There's also a sense of having to let go of those identities. And it's all part of the ego program, wanting to be different, wanting to be special, wanting to have a story as to why it is why it is. And so, like for me, on a personal level, these past 4 years have been the most challenging on a human level. I mean, I have lost, I mean, every year I'm probably losing about two people are choosing to exit this planet because it's like they're tapping out. And I don't blame them. It is dense down here,
Yeah.
right? There has been accidents and backbreaking and so much crazy stuff that's been thrown at me in the past 4 years, but never once have I been a victim or a slave to the experience. I've taken responsibility for the journey and, like, okay, how can I resolve this? How can I dissolve this? What is my medicine? Even if it is the bitter, bitter medicine, but there is always something so transformative in that experience. But I've never once gone, oh, I must have been bad in a past life to have all this karma, right?
Yeah.
And that starts to re-imprint and reprogram that we are divine creators and we have that potential of now. And so particularly with 2025, particularly with the fracturing of timelines that have been happening on a global scale, the neutrality piece is how we bring our embodied mastery into the space. This is how we are holding the field and resonance for a new paradigm that is to take place. And there is a lot of these global systems that are collapsing and falling apart as a result of that.
Yeah. And we
So,
have to, that's why finding ourselves inside of all this, right? Discovering something different, new, a new way to be in it, because everything's collapsing. It's not bad. It's not perfect. It just is. And like you said, we're here to walk through this path, this spiral time, because we came equipped to do it, because we came at a time that it's unraveling fast. And as hard as it might seem, those 3 years or 4 years could have taken 40 or four lifetimes, in the
yeah,
past. And so
yeah,
we're prepared for this, we're wired for this, but we're kind of behind in the human species. We kind of lingered a little too long inside of marveling at ourselves over our manifestation powers and other things like that. And the spiral evolution of the universe doesn't wait. Right? Yeah, so we were moving on that spiral upwards and upwards. So this is such a beautiful time to decide, as you're going deeper into the dark before you get to the new moon and then the solstice, and then start building towards the light to come out that last portal. Is such a great time to think about that, to think about how to rewire the deep beliefs you may not know are hidden in there, because there's such a cultural or family or religious or school thing. Depends on how you were raised. I was not raised religious at all. My parents were Lutheran, but I don't know, we went to church 3 times or something. I don't,
mm,
so I used to think, oh, thank God I don't have to unravel that. Like a lot of people have a lot of trauma from some of their religious upbringing. But then I found out later that I had so much trauma in other lives over persecution, in a religious way, and things that I was reacting, and I wasn't understanding those deeper reactions, because my mind told me, well, I don't have that problem. And so this is such a beautiful time to just let go of any of that, and let it imprint throughout the whole timeline.
yeah.
So how do people become aware as they're moving through this really powerful moment of resting, nurturing, taking care of themselves without feeling like they feel good, about their choice to care for themselves, and they find that voice of peace inside of them, even if they know that somebody might be disappointed, they don't come. And it seems to be related to when you said that all the timelines that are fracturing, you know, I saw this like starburst almost like in front of us. It's again like everything around us. There's this overwhelming abundance of options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's coming back to what are your non-negotiables and being crystal clear with that. And if that is going to upset somebody else, that says more about them than you, right? And what is more important, right? Is it more important to abandon yourself just to save face, right? We don't have that luxury anymore to continue abandoning ourselves just because of what we said we would do or how we said we would show up. And this isn't about going into a cave for a year. It's finding the daily balance, that equilibrium. You know, I personally was getting around 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, but I was exhausted during the day, and I recognized actually this is a time where my nervous system needs more sleep than my ego is comfortable having. So I've been sleeping for 9, 10, 10.5 hours, and I feel so much better. And it's not a forever thing. I mean, my days are a lot shorter. My capacity is smaller, but the nourishment that I'm feeding back into myself is so that I have a greater capacity and longevity moving forward. And so particularly with December, there are a lot of expectations, and slow it all down and really tune into the heart. Is this a nourishing experience? Am I in joy with the things that I said yes to?
Wonderful. So share once more, what do you have going on? What can people find on your website, or where can they see you?
Thank you. Well, there is a brand new website. Finally, for those of you that have ever gone to my website, there's been a cover page for about 3 years. So there is a new website and I'm going to keep adding a ton of information to the website. So zoedavenport.com. When you go there, you can sign up to the newsletter. There's also a high self meditation that you can have an instant listen to and download. And then I will be running a winter solstice deep ceremony on the 21st of December. So if you head to the newsletter, sign up to the newsletter, send me an email, or reach out to me on Instagram. I am Zoe Davenport for the link to that as well.
Ooh, fantastic. I love it. Well, I'm going to check out your solstice thing. I'm doing mine on the 20th because I am going to be on top of a pyramid on the 21st.
Oh, beautiful. Oh,
So,
I love that.
wherever you are. Well, thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm
Oh,
just
you too.
always, I feel very, very blessed to spend the time with you and for you to share all your wisdom. So make sure, everybody, you share this with as many people as you can, especially if certain things resonated. There was just so much beauty there, so much loving permission, right? Right. Everybody leaving this call has been given permission to live themselves, listen to their heart, take care, nourish, nurture, because then, yes, you can show up. And I totally understand what you said about more. You know, sometimes I don't sleep hardly at all. And then sometimes it's like 10, 12 hours, and it's weird. But
Yeah.
luckily, I don't have that because I used to sleep in as a child, and my whole family made fun of me. And so it was kind of a thing. Like I felt like I was a bad person because I slept better in the morning.
Mm.
And I don't know what happened, but now I get up at 3, 4 in the morning. I can't stay up late. My mom's just like, "Who are you?"
Love that.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you, everybody. Reach out. Let me know how I can be of service. And namaste. We'll just go ahead and ask for this whole in meeting to be blessed, and for this to go out and multiply the blessings for everyone, flow back in a beautiful give and receive flow, and allow this moment to be bathed in gratitude to us, to you, to everyone, to the sacred space. May the circle be open yet unbroken, and the peace of this moment go in our hearts with every step, every breath. and every touch. In Laket Chalakin, we are one. It is done. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.